Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome to the Thacker Mountain Radio Hour. As we mentioned, we're at the old Armory Pavilion here in Oxford, Mississippi. Got a great show for you tonight. A fine artist, Mississippi artist, is with us, Lee Harper. Her book is called Tiny Oxford, Mississippi Memories in Miniature. We're going to talk about her very interesting art form. Lee Harper, what a wonderful series of little miniature sculptures she has done. She'll tell us how she got started doing this, but this book is a series of photos done of the miniature sculptures that she has done. This happens to be of landmarks around the town of Oxford, Mississippi, including places like our old Smitty's, our great diner, and Shadow Lawn, one of our beautiful homes here. She has done it right down to the detail. It's just a little bit creepy, y'all. No, it's not. It's genius for a gal. Please welcome Lee Harper. All right, again, we're trying to describe this for the folks on the radio, but I think now miniature art has become such a thing. People know what we're talking about when you can construct a little chair that fits on your fingernail. And this is the sort of thing that you do. And tell us how you got started, because you had no idea you were going to be a miniaturist, or is that what you call the...
I guess so.
Make sure you're up here, we can hear you.
I'm a maker of things. I don't really consider myself a miniaturist. I've always painted and drawn, and some of you know I have the History Bones series, the dioramas that I started probably 13 or 14 Halloweens ago, and they were an answer to our disgust of Elf on the Shelf.
Right.
So I did a little skeleton every day of Halloween, the week, and he started wearing clothes, and every Halloween it got a little more involved. And since he was only like 5 inches high, it kind of dictated the size of everything around it. And so I kind of backwards fell into being a miniaturist.
Yeah. No, I like that. As opposed to Elf on a Shelf, you put a skeleton on a shelf.
Yes. Yeah. I refuse
to
refuse Elf on the Shelf. So sorry.
Yeah. So you put a skeleton on a shelf. Now,
yeah.
See, I can get behind that.
But he was funny. He was very funny.
Yeah. And so from that one incident where your friend saw it, then you were making an ornament for a fundraiser here for our local arts organization, Yavapai Arts Council. And you made a miniature of the Hoka Theater.
Hoka, yeah.
Which we probably don't have time to just say exactly what the Hoka was, but you say it very well in your book, Pre-Starbucks Coffee House. Very funky, much beloved by generations of Ole Miss students and Oxford locals. You made that as an ornament, and then it kind of took off.
It did. I always try to make something amazing for Wayne and the Powerhouse. Mine's never quite an ornament, because you can only do so much with, a tiny ornament. So I thought, oh my God, that would be really cool to recreate the Hoka, because obviously it's not been around for quite some time. So I started collecting pictures, watching the documentaries, even talked to your lady friend Micah to look through her junk drawer to find, research photos to make the place. And I mean, it just opened up a flood of people telling stories, memories, wild times, things they wrote on the bathroom walls. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah, the miniature rats you came up with were really off the chart. That was unbelievable. So now you've done a series of these. I understand now you're covered up with commissions, and this is almost your full-time.
It is my full-time job, and also please sign up for one. We're trying to put our child through college. No, seriously, wow. It has been a blast. I've gotten to do the Gin, Smitty's, Dino's.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about Stick Fence House.
I'm sorry?
Collie Rogers Stick Fence House.
Yes, Collie Rogers' house. I'm going to send you a picture of her. For the Smitty's, and again, for folks not familiar or listeners, was your mom and pop diner in our town, much beloved. And in those days being the 80s into the 90s, they had, like all places, they had a newspaper rack or three out in front of the restaurant. Y'all remember? You remember newspapers. And I was looking through your book today, and I thought, and you had tiny little newspaper racks. I said, okay, how did you make those newspaper racks? Seriously?
They are carved from wood. And then the
Really?
newspaper front, I find the actual newspaper online or whatever I'm making, and then reduce, you know, so it looks somewhat real, and you usually hand tint it or something, but I love carving stuff. It's very therapeutic.
So this is hand carved with a knife.
Yes. I only use one size knife. It's not really even a carving knife, but I like it. I've cut my fingers several times, and after one enthusiastic project one night, I did cut through my pants and cut my leg a little bit.
Wow.
But you've got to want it, so it was fine.
On-the-job compensation for that when you're working for yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
When I was reading up about miniature art, and it goes back, 1600s they were doing this, but they weren't doing Smitty's, I don't think. But now it's taken on, it's very popular, and like I mentioned, Instagram and so forth, and with the pandemic, it really became more popular. I was just wondering why it was, and people wrote in saying it's something I can control. Mm-hmm. It takes the big world and gets it down to something I never even, and so it's therapeutic. But for you, you're an artist. You're not a collector necessarily. You're making and building. So is it therapy for you as well? Did the pandemic?
When the lockdown started, I already love making the pieces, but when the lockdown started and everything is completely insane around you, on the news, everything was awful. I could go out to my little studio and just lose myself for hours working, and I made so much stuff that year. I was born to quarantine. Seriously, I'm not a fan of quarantine, but I was a professional at it. It was great.
I think it's a song. I was born to quarantine, man, and make little newspaper racks. So like we mentioned, you have the commissions are happening now. What do you see as for the future of your art in particular? You're going to just you're making the theater in Meridian, Mississippi, where we played this summer, the Temple Theater.
I just made the Temple Theater, and that was a secret project for the Mississippi Heritage Trust. I wasn't allowed to say what it was for until after they announced the list, 10 most endangered places in Mississippi that night, and it got auctioned off, and the proceeds go to the temple. But what I would love to do is a tiny Mississippi next. And there's just so many places that are amazing.
You mean go all over the state and do various landmarks around? Wow.
And not just touristy places, like really interesting, cool places.
Like the Hoka and Smitty's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
And you did Isaiah's Busy Bee. Does some of you remember Isaiah's Busy Bee? She cooked for the chancellors of the University of Mississippi for years and then started her own place, and you got it. When I saw it, I immediately could smell peach cobbler. It was incredible. When you pulled up there, as y'all recall, whatever she was serving that day is what you were having. There's no menu, and I remember the mint in the tea. And when you see these pictures, if you've been there, it brings back these incredible feelings, smells, memories. And if you haven't been there, you can just be in awe of the art and the patience. And I was asking Lee about her work conditions. One thing, you can't be in a bad mood.
Right.
You can't be in a hurry.
Right.
And you can't be tired.
Or you can't drink either. So.
A knife and woodwork, a few drinks, what could go wrong? Yeah, you can't be hungover. You got to be, I said, it probably has to be quiet. She said, oh no, I'm listening to podcasts and I'm watching stuff on TV while you're carving.
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
I can't do silence. It's too much. No.
So quarantine is good for you, but you don't like silence.
Right.
So
right.
Well, you've put the time to good work, to good use.
Thanks.
I love the fact that you didn't set out to do this. You've just become a miniaturist, and it's through hard work and hand carving.
Yeah. It's wild.
You've literally kind of carved your own niche.
I have. Oh, Jim, that's cute. I like that.
Well, it's going to cost you. The book is Tiny Oxford, Mississippi Memories in Miniature, and it is a beautiful, beautiful book. and just amazing. Again, you will be in awe of the talent and the hard work and the patience of Lee Harper. Lee, thank you for being here. Lee Harper.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Great job. Great book. Tiny Oxford.